Welcome back to our head-to-head fantasy football series. Today's episode comes with a nice international twist. In fact, not only that, but we are also mixing men's and women's football in this one. Controversial? Maybe. Difficult to call? Maybe. Let's see what you think after we have spoken about the two teams in question. The USA men's national team and the USA women's national team, also known as four-time World Cup winners. Soccer, as it's known stateside, has been growing rapidly for decades. But unlike in most countries, perhaps here in the US, the girls have got a head start on the boys. In today's episode, we will be comparing the teams and the successes of both US camps, men and women. Who will win the Battle of the Stars and Stripes? Let's find out. So we've flipped things on their head today by switching to international football as well as women's football in an all-American men v women affair. But why not? We are in the middle of a truly fascinating Women's World Cup, and no matter what happens in this tournament, when it finishes, the US women's national team will still be by far the most storied team in the women's game. And across men and women's football, only Brazil's male team have ever won more World Cups. Despite an impressive enough campaign at Qatar 2022, the US men's national team seem to be living in the shadow of the women's side. But we will take a look at that in more detail soon. As the men head back to pre-season with their club sides, the women are battling it out with the best in Australia and New Zealand in search of what would be a historic 5th World Cup in just 9 tournaments. And incredibly, 3 World Cup titles in a row. A feat that has never been achieved in the men's game either. Can the girls do it? We think so. The likes of England, Germany and Spain amongst others will provide stiff competition for the US women's national team, but success seems to be in their DNA. Right from being crowned the first ever Women's World Cup champions back in China in 1991 to their most recent success in France in 2019, the USA are indeed favourites for the Women's World Cup this year, 2023. No surprises there. The men's side were in action this summer too. Not on the world stage, but in North America's answer to the Euros, the CONCACAF Gold Cup. In this tournament, it was fierce rivals Mexico who would take the trophy on US soil. However, it must be noted that the Gold Cup doesn't quite hold the same importance as a major championship should for top national teams like the US and Mexico. In November and December of 2022, the US men's national team were at the Qatar World Cup, and next summer in 2024, they will host an extended Copa America of 16 teams. Traditionally, the South American tournament next year will be in the US, and they'll have a chance to spoil the Latino party on home soil. All roads lead back to the States, as they will then host the 2026 Men's World Cup. But this time alongside Canada and Mexico, whilst the women are also in the running to be Women's World Cup hosts in 2027. It's all happening in the States. Regardless of how both sides get on in these upcoming tests and tournaments, along with Messi's arrival to Miami, it is undoubtedly the most exciting time ever for the sport of football in the USA. But what about this head-to-head anyway? The boys against the girls, the US men's national team of Christian Pulisic and the US women's national team of Alex Morgan. Who comes out on top here? Well, we must say, this is a tricky fantasy football tie for the boys to win. Why? Hear us out. The US women's national team, quite simply, is the best team in international football history. That's right, we said it. And to be honest, it shouldn't come as a surprise. Let's put it this way. If Brazil's men's football team had won World Cups at the same rate as the US women, they would have 11 World Cup titles by now. 11. The USA women's national team record is quite simply unmatchable. Before 2023, there have only been 8 Women's World Cups, and the US have won 4 of them. It's ridiculous, and on all 8 occasions, the US have made the semi-finals. They have never ever not reached the last 4 of the biggest tournament in football. Nobody in the men's or women's game has a record close to that. As mentioned, whilst a lot of women's teams are just getting into their groove, now things are reversed in the US. It's the men's team that are desperately trying to catch up with the women. The likes of Brazil and Argentina have never won the Women's World Cup like their men's teams. But With the growth of the women's game and the improved funding, coaching and resources that come with that, it's probably only a matter of time before they do. The same can be said for the likes of Spain and England. Stateside soccer has always been behind the likes of basketball, baseball and American football as far as the boys are concerned. But all the while, masses of young girls in America grew up playing soccer to turn their national side into what they might call an eternal dynasty. The boys are clawing their way back. It's now regular to see US men's players playing at the very top level in Europe. From Milan to Dortmund and beyond, stars like Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna and Weston McKennie are part of an exciting young generation of talent that will be gunning for glory at their home championships in 2024 and 2026. At the recent Qatar 2022 World Cup, they were super impressive against England and got out of the group stages ahead of Wales and Iran. Despite a valiant performance, they would fall short against the Netherlands in the knockout rounds. At their last 5 World Cup appearances, they've got past the group stage on 4 occasions, and the men even reached the quarterfinals in 2002. Men's soccer is on the way up, and the USA are a force of the future for sure. The sport and the MLS League is growing rapidly, and millions of American kids, boys and girls, are now calling soccer their number one sport. The men's team will have no doubt that one day they will be able to replicate the women's success of a World Cup. The women's team is led by national legends like Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe, 2 heroes to young girls all over America and the world, as well as the likes of Lindsay Horan and Sophia Smith, modern heroes. Will they be the next champions? A mix of veterans with World Cup winning experience and frightening young talent means the USA women's national team sooner rather than later will match Brazil's men's 5th World Cup title. Who knows how soon that will be? Can you think of other countries where the women's team are setting incredible examples that the men's team will find it very hard to match? Is there any argument for the USA men against the women? The facts would suggest that they don't even touch the success or legacy of the US WNT. But let's see what the future holds. The US men are certainly on the way up, but the US women can boast that they are true soccer goats. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Stay tuned for more amazing football videos.